After mixed martial arts was established as a sport, there were a lot of different questions, especially the ones that implied a fighter facing a different sport's representative. On this channel, we have made a breakdown of a few cases when MMA fighters took on professionals from other related spheres, and also when there were two athletes with a huge difference in size. But today's video will be a little bit different from those ones, as this time we'll try to find out, can a professional bodybuilder, powerlifter or strongman or any other man who does power sports beat a fighter in his own field? Please don't forget to subscribe to our channel, leave a like and a 4-word comment. We're getting started. Let's go. Number 1. Alen Karaev vs Gary Goodridge. The first bout we'll be talking about today took place in 2005. On the 26th of March, the first tournament named Heroes was held at the legendary Saitama Super Arena in Japan. On this exact night, the Russian weightlifter Alen Karaev was going to make his professional MMA debut. A North Ossetia born, he was a 7-time arm wrestling world champion and a 5-time sumo world champion. Apart from that, he is an honored master of sports and an international class master of sports in arm wrestling. He took on the Big Daddy himself in the face of Gary Goodridge. At that time, the legendary athlete from Canada was widely known for his spectacular fights in both kickboxing and MMA. By the way, there was a short period in Goodridge's career when he was competing in professional arm wrestling. As for his fighting career, it's fair to say that it was close to its end. However, during that exact period of time, he was on a 3-fight win streak with a total record of 21 wins and 14 losses.
Me curling up my hand and punching you in your head. Me kicking you in your head. This is stamina, this is agility. This is not how strong you can be with your fingers or your hand.
Как бы я не только силач, я знаю борьбу и как бы тренируюсь сейчас боями, что-то тоже знаю. И обязательно что-то покажу ему 26 числа.
There was a big size discrepancy between the fighters that could be seen during the face-off, even though the Big Daddy had been the bigger guy compared to his opponents for the most part of his career. As soon as the fight began, Goodridge went on the attack. First, he threw a single low kick and started to back off in order to control the distance. Karaev kept moving forward and soon he got the Canadian stuck in the corner of the ring. Without wasting any time, he grabbed him with his hands, locked and put him down. As soon as the fight hit the canvas, the Ossetian let his hammers go and started punishing his opponent. Along with that, he was trying to get a better position and grabbed the left arm of Goodridge to get a submission. Gary did not allow Alen to do that, and soon they got closer to the ropes. Karaev was able to control the Canadian on the ground. He was holding Gary tight while squeezing his head, trying to choke him out. Goodridge wasn't going to quit and he was waiting for an opportunity to escape. He was able to capitalize on his opponent's mistake when Karaev attacked Gary's arm again. As soon as he grabbed it, the Big Daddy used this chance and got out of a tough situation. He was on top now and he completely turned on. First, he landed solid shots on the arm wrestler and then pushed Alen's neck with his forearm. There was no escape from this. Karaev tapped and Gary Goodridge got a win in the first round. Number 2. Mariusz Pudzianowski vs Tim Sylvia. Here comes the fight between the former champion of the world's best league against the professional powerlifter. On May the 21st of 2010, Mariusz Pudzianowski fought for the 3rd time in his professional MMA career. At that time, a famous Polish athlete won 5 of World's Strongest Man titles, and starting from 2009, he decided to test himself as an MMA fighter. On the other hand, by that time his opponent had more than 30 fights behind him with 25 wins, including the ones over many famous fighters. Moreover, 2 years ago, Tim Sylvia was able to get the UFC gold and even defend it twice.
For him, it's basically nothing new. I mean, he's he's only a human being, so which can be broken or defeated. And he's not a kind of a yellow belt in the martial arts. He's done martial arts before.
No, not really. I mean, I'm bringing in some guys that mimic his size and ability, and some really big, stronger guys that are stronger than me. Well, you know, I say stronger than me. I've never met anybody stronger than me before. So he may be one of the world's strongest men, but, you know, can he fight with that strength? We'll see.
The main event of the evening started with the pressure from Tim Sylvia. The former UFC champion started to go forward and press his opponent against the fence. The strongman answered with a heavy leg kick. The American fighter kept on marching forward, but this time Marius tried to take him down. First, he pressed Tim against the fence and then executed the takedown. It was obvious that the Polish was much more physically stronger. But even so, Tim was able to almost immediately get back to his feet. Pudzianowski grabbed him tight again as a bear holding its prey, not wanting to let him go. Eventually, Tim was able to break free after a little over 2 minutes. Starting from this moment, Sylvia recognized that he got the control of the fight. He was showing it by any possible means to his opponent. He was landing precise strikes on the feet and in the clinch. He was verbally taunting Marius when they were getting close. To top it all, the professional strongman suffered from the lack of oxygen, which was noticed by well-observing American. Marius felt that he was losing the fight, but he couldn't do anything about it. At the end of the day, there was a difference between pure power and skills with experience. With 1 minute left, Tim Sylvia took down the Polish and controlled him there for the rest of the round. The fight went the exact same way in the second round. The former champion of the world's best league kept on smashing the face of Pudzianowski and dominated in every aspect. After a minute, tired powerlifter fell down. Sylvia took it as an invitation and went in for the finish. Eventually, the American fighter needed less than 2 minutes to make Marius tap and get the TKO win. Number 3. Mikhail Koklaev vs Alexander Emelianenko. We're moving to the next bout from the world of professional boxing. In the end of November 2019, the legendary brother of not less legendary The Last Emperor, Alexander, stepped in the ring for the second time in his career. He made his professional boxing debut back in 2009. Then Alexander got a draw in the fight against Kazir Pliv, and after that, he hadn't competed in boxing in 10 years. By that time, his professional MMA career record was 28 wins and 7 losses. It's needless to say that he was out of his prime, however, one couldn't consider him as an easy fight. He took on a famous Russian athlete in power sports. Mikhail Koklaev is an 8-time national champion in weightlifting at a 231.5 plus weight class. He is also the former Russian record holder in deadlift and the international master of sports in weightlifting. Why should I do this? Well, they are all bodybuilders who train in the gym and lift big weights. They believe that after lifting weights, well, I don't argue with that, they're strong guys. But this strength that they gain there is blunt and useless. One should put any force somewhere and understand what's the purpose of what he does. And being just big and strong, what's that for? And what do I want? Well, I want to bring Misha back from the clouds a little bit. I want to show him that this is not his territory, so to speak. That boxing isn't his cup of tea. Let him keep on lifting weights as he did before, but what is the purpose of that? I don't get it. A minimum objective of a boxing bag is to make sure that there is still a shot to blow. As for me, it was much more interesting to see when Nate Diaz was slapping Conor despite the fact that he lost. And Sanya, I want to bring a couple of those to you, so neither you nor your friends and people rooting for you and all the rest would ever think of muscle men aren't capable of anything. A maximum objective is to be victorious, of course. Speaking of the fight itself, the outcome was quite expected. It lasted less than 1 round. In total, a little over 2 minutes was all it took for Alexander to give Mikhail Koklaev a teaching lesson and show him that there is a big difference between simple strong athletes and those who know how to fight. A couple of good hooks from a distance, got the job done and the Grim Reaper got the undebatable knockout win. Number 1. Ivan Strykov vs Yasubi Enomoto. And the final bout that we're going to be talking about today is a little bit different from the ones mentioned previously. There is a quite successful fighter from Russia named Ivan Strykov. Right now his professional record is 22 wins and only 2 losses. Ural Hulk competes at light heavyweight and heavyweight for the most part, and it's quite logical. It's hard to make weight to compete at lower weight class when you're so big. However, in December of 2019, Strykov gave a try to move down to middleweight. You can see the final result of a weight cut on his picture. It's easy to guess that it was quite stressful for Ivan to do that. He took on the fighter from Switzerland, Yasubi Enomoto, who had been competing mainly in both welterweight and middleweight divisions.
Ivan Strykov, the Swiss samurai, is ready for more.
Despite cutting more than 44 pounds, the Ural Hulk has lived up to his nickname and looked much bigger than Enomoto. However, Mikhail had another big advantage in the form of his age. By that time, the Swiss was already 37 years old, while Strykov was only 31. The first round was very competitive. Of course, the Russian looked better in the beginning due to his explosive power. But after a few attempts to work on the ground, it became obvious that he was gassing out pretty quickly. Almost in every exchange, Enomoto was landing his shots much faster and was rocking his exhausted counterpart even worse. It was the consequences of a tough weight cut which resulted in Ivan losing his gas tank. Eventually, it was all over in the second round. For some time, the Ural-born fighter was trying hard to go for a final storm and finish Enomoto. However, the Swiss recognized that the victory was in the bag. After 3 minutes, the veteran got the back of Strykov and locked his hands in a tight choke. That's the way the Ural Hulk got finished for the first time in his career. Bonus spot: Israel Adesanya vs Paulo Costa and Charles Oliveira vs Michael Chandler. We can't ignore these fights in today's video. Let's start with the first one.
Did like Homer, more running. With this news, now Adesanya is the #1 fastest man on the world.
Not many would argue with the facts that Borrachina looks like a bodybuilder who could burn a little more fat and go apply for participation in Mr. Olympia. He looked even bigger up against fit and lean Adesanya. In the participation of UFC 253, many questioned what Adesanya with his modest size would put up against Paulo Costa, who at that time was still undefeated and dismantled every opponent he faced.
I don't think so. Just his resume doesn't hold up enough. If you look at the guys he's beat, it's, I don't think it's going to be the greatest middleweight fight in history. I kind of already did that with Kelvin Gastelum, so I have that in my back resume.
However, regardless of all expectations, the champion completely outclassed the challenger. The last stylebender stepped in the cage for a single purpose: to give a self-confident, cocky guy a teaching lesson in an understandable but tough form. And this is exactly what happened in the fight. With only 2 rounds, the New Zealander gave Borrachina an in-person sparring seminar and got the TKO victory.
I've been in the sport for over a decade, maybe 13 years in August. My resume does speak for itself. I have dismantled 2 former UFC champions. So I love my resume, I love my past, I love my ups and I love my downs. I think my show that I put on against Dan Hooker, doing in 2.5 minutes what Dustin Poirier couldn't do in 25, what Paul Felder couldn't do in 25 minutes. I believe that was indicative of getting this title shot, not to mention the fact that I came in right away, kicked down the door, said yes to every opportunity, showed up with my work boots on, just like my dad did as a union carpenter for the last 40 years. And I show up, I'm a working man, I'm going to say yes.
It's hard to call Michael Chandler a typical MMA fighter. It's even harder to guess that he competes in the lightweight division. Thanks to his healthy lifestyle and diet combined with regular work in the gym, Iron looks like an explosive jacked machine, and even at the age of 36, he's got a great physique. In May of 2021, Chandler took on the former featherweight Charles Oliveira in the title fight.
11 years, losses, I heard and I learned, and I'm really happy for this opportunity.
Chandler looked like a pumped bear up against tall and fit DuBronx, and he managed to do good damage to the Brazilian due to his explosiveness and quick combinations. However, as we all know, Charles was able to take the initiative and make a comeback. Right in the first seconds of the round, Oliveira got the upper hand in the exchange, and soon after he finished Michael via TKO to win the belt. Dear friends, as you may see, physical power isn't a key factor when it comes to a competition inside the octagon. Moreover, it's not even one of the primary ones. One should always rely on a technique, work hard, and gain the necessary experience. And what do you think about it? Share your thoughts in the comment section. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you could make sure you won't ever miss new videos. And of course, leave a like if you enjoyed this video. See you soon.